So, my 2009 Subaru Forester with a 2.5 litre turbocharged engine does 15.6 litres per 100 kilometers on a 60 litre fuel tank, which means I can't reach Kuala Terengganu in one fuel tank. Yeah, because I've only got, under those circumstances, about 385 kilometers of range. She is thirsty. Fuel efficient, she is not. Fast? Oh, yes, she is fast. So what if you needed something that had a bit of both? Something that's fuel efficient and powerful and comfortable. Something that can take you to Kuala Terengganu, Penang and back to KL. Well, I think we're gonna need something a bit more modern and something with a bit of electrified help. So, what car can we do this in? How about this one? The cheapest PHEV SUV in Malaysia. I introduce to you the Chery Tiggo 7 PHEV at 129,800 ringgit. This is definitely one of the cheapest and most fuel efficient SUVs in Malaysia. So here's what this whole trip is about. This isn't your biasa media drive. This is Chery Malaysia's Endless Horizon Challenge, a proper long distance stress test. The mission: take a convoy of Chery Tiggo 7 PHEVs and Tiggo 8 PHEVs and a bunch of media and cover at least 1,200 kilometers on one single tank. No refueling the petrol, no plugging in the battery, no shortcuts. Just one tank, one battery and pure efficiency. And here's why it's a challenge. Doing 1,200 kilometers in a normal ICE car? Tough. In a full EV, even tougher. In a regular hybrid, still a stretch. Honestly, maybe a big tank diesel truck could do it, but that's completely different world. So that's why we're using PHEVs, because they combine everything in one package: electric torque, hybrid efficiency and petrol range. Well, everything except the diesel part in this case. The plan is to start the journey at Bamboo Hills, reach Terengganu, push north to Penang, close the loop back to Bamboo Hills. 3 days, one tank, more than 1,200 kilometers. Sounds a bit crazy, but that's exactly why we're doing it. Can we actually make it? That's what this whole challenge is about. Okay, so here's something interesting. We've just arrived at Kemaman Kopitiam Original after driving 245 kilometers from KL. When we left KL, the car showed 862 kilometers of fuel range. Now, after the whole journey, the fuel range still shows 837 kilometers, meaning we only lost 25 kilometers of fuel range after physically driving 245 kilometers. On the battery side, we started the trip full and now the hybrid system says we are at 26%. So if you think about it, the battery has basically covered the rest of the distance. Let's break that down into numbers. We drove 245 kilometers, but the fuel range only dropped by 25 kilometers. That means the hybrid system effectively handled 220 kilometers of the journey. That's almost the entire KL Kemaman leg, driven without really touching the petrol tank. So off to a good start, but the battery has been depleted all the way down around 27%. What would that mean? Would there be enough range? Well, perhaps it's best to get to know the car a little bit more now. Okay, so here's a spec quick rundown. The Tiggo 7 PHEV runs a 1.5 turbo with an electric motor for a combined 279 PS and 365 Newton meters. It uses an 18.3 kilowatt-hour LFP battery with the claimed EV-only range of up to 90 kilometers and a total range of up to 1,200 kilometers combined hybrid mode, I guess. It's priced from 129,800, which makes it the cheapest SUV PHEV in Malaysia and comes with a 7-year vehicle warranty as well as an 8-year warranty on the battery and drive unit. So how can this Tiggo 7 PHEV actually hit 1,200 kilometers on one 60-litre tank and one full battery? Here's the short version. First, it's not running on petrol the whole time. At low and medium speeds, the car uses pure electric mode, so petrol usage is almost zero. When you need a bit more power, it switches to tandem mode, where the engine mainly acts as a generator to feed the electric motor. This is way more efficient than a normal ICE car. When you need to accelerate hard, both engine and motor work together in parallel mode, so the engine never strains or wastes fuel. And on the highway, it goes into direct engine mode, where the engine locks straight to the wheels and run in its most efficient RPM range. That's how we're seeing close to 3.5 litre per 100 km on this drive. Plus, every time you brake or coast downhill, the system regenerates electricity, so the battery keeps getting topped up for free. So in simple terms, electric for slow stuff, generator mode for medium stuff, both systems for power, and super efficient petrol for highway. That means we can barely touch the fuel tank even after hundreds of kilometers, and that's why possibly it can do 1,200 kilometers on one tank. Alright, quick update for the second stint of our drive today. So from Kemaman Kopitiam, we continued straight into Terengganu, and that brings our total distance today to 423 kilometers from our starting point at Bamboo Hills. Whew. Here's the crazy part. After all that driving, the fuel range still shows 737 kilometers left. So from KL to Terengganu, we've only lost about 125 kilometers of range, despite actually covering more than 400 kilometers on the road. Fuel consumption, we averaged just 3.5 litres per 100 kilometers. That's basically motorcycle level sipping for a full-size SUV. What this means is the hybrid system has been doing heavy lifting the entire way, assisting the engine, harvesting energy every time we slow down, and making sure the petrol engine only works when it's most efficient. Long, steady cruising really lets the system stretch every drop of fuel. So in total, 423 kilometers traveled, barely denting the petrol range. Still unbelievable to me, to be honest, and still showing 737 kilometers to go. At this rate, that 1,200 kilometers target, yeah, it's starting to look very promising. We shall have to see. Tomorrow we take the Gerik road towards Penang from Terengganu. Let's try it out. Alright, day 2 didn't start off very well. It was raining very heavily, which means it's going to give us a little bit more resistance from the rain, from the wet roads. So yeah, we're still going to try to cover 450 kilometers, but it's going to put a dent in our fuel consumption because the car has to have put more effort in to drive forward. Also, there's going to be a lot of climbing today, so it's really make or break day, and it will tell us a lot whether this car will make that 1,200 kilometer challenge. Anyway, what goes up must come down, so when we go down, we might be able to recharge the battery and give us some mileage back. Okay, so since I started off the day sitting in the back, it gave me an opportunity to test out what the rear room is like. I like how roomy it feels in the back. There's a lot of headroom, and also the seats are not too upright, so you can pretty much recline and just sit back and relax. Okay, there's soft touch materials here at the bottom part, but at the top there are hard plastics. Not the best, but anyway, if you like to rest your arm on the middle bit, you're gonna be fine. Getting a comfortable position is not that hard. Just place the armrest down and yeah, you're pretty much set at the back. Also, the other thing that I liked about the rear room is that there's a flat floor, so you can pretty much spread your legs out, and also there's a lot of knee room. I mean, yeah, Hanif is not that tall of a guy, but still, he is quite far back. All in all, I think anyone that sits at the back of the Tiggo 7 PHEV will be a happy trooper. It is spacious, it is comfortable, and I think you will be comfortable sitting on those seats, especially when doing something silly like this 1,200 kilometer challenge. Alright, so we are currently at the highest R&R in Semenanjung, and the Chery Tiggo 7 PHEV has brought us here without being filled up with petrol or electricity. Now that's quite a feat still. But it wasn't all hunky-dory climbing up to R&R Titi Wangsa. We still had to go 183 kilometers to our hotel in Penang, and our range is down to 470 kilometers. Luckily, now we go downhill, so there's time to recharge the battery a little bit to help supplement the engine. Okay, check this out. In total, kita dah travel 904 kilometers. And then on the fuel range, it shows we have, oh wait, can't do this here. Let me just close the door because it won't show unless I switch on the car. So yep, there you go. We have 368 kilometers left on the fuel range. So I think from Penang back to KL Bamboo Hills is generally around 350 kilometers, so we should be able to make it. It was a bit of a worry today, but we went down some hills, so that kind of helped with the battery, kind of charged it up and put the hybrid power back into drive. So yeah, here we are at Crown, and we're nearly going to complete the 1,200 kilometer mission. Will we succeed? We're gonna have to wait till day 3. Alright, so last day, KL bound. So yeah, the fuel range shows we've got, oh, let me see. So yeah, the fuel range shows we've got 368 kilometers. Distance to Bamboo Hills according to Google is 340 kilometers. So technically we should make it, but this is a challenge. We're not going back to Bamboo Hill straight. We're gonna stop at Ipoh first for lunch. That will add some kilometers. So will we make it? Let's see. You know what, after spending about 900 kilometers with the Tiggo 7 PHEV, I couldn't help but notice how it was different to drive when compared to the regular old Tiggo 7 Pro, which just has a turbocharged engine. So how does the car actually feel to drive? You know, I wasn't actually going to talk about this because I thought it just felt the same as the ICE version, but honestly, it is miles better than the ICE version. No exaggeration, the composure, the damping, the way it handles bumps and corners, the overall balance, everything just feels more sorted, more premium, more grown up in my opinion. I actually asked Chery Malaysia's product guys, this PHEV feels so different, and he told me something interesting. The Tiggo 7 and 8 PHEVs are the first Chery Malaysia models to receive proper local tuning, specifically for our roads and our driving style. And the reason they could finally do this is because Chery has officially set up an R&D center in Malaysia, which opened in May 2025. Chinese engineers and Malaysian engineers work together to tune the ride and handling to suit our imperfect highways, our uneven back roads, our speed bumps, our flavor of driving. Basically, to make the car feel right at home here. And you know what? After spending hours and hours inside this thing on this long distance challenge, I could fully agree with them. It really does feel much better, more refined, more confidence inspiring, and generally more comfortable than the ICE model. This is the version of the Tiggo that finally feels like it was built for us, not just adapted for us, plucked straight from China, brought into Malaysia. Okay, so we've arrived in Ipoh at this really scenic and beautiful cafe, Red Brick Cafe, and check out the view. Wow, it's really nice. Anyway, okay, so how much range do we have left? So the petrol range, it says we have 272 kilometers, and the battery range we have another 11 kilometers. So how far is it to our place in KL that we must reach, which is Bamboo Hill? So if we look at Google, it says it's another 194 kilometers. So we have a lot of range left to get back. So yeah, quite impressive, this car. I cannot believe that we've just basically traveled to Terengganu, climb up those banjarans, and went to the highest R&R in Peninsula, and went to Royal Belum, and went to Penang, and now back to Ipoh, all in one tank. What a fantastic car. I mean, yeah, of course, we drove slowly under the speed limit and stuff like that. We didn't put the air conditioning too high, but it is totally doable. Anyway, even if you don't want to torture yourself and drive like around 110 and things like that, I still think this is a very good SUV if you want to go touring. I mean, yeah, you won't be refueling as often as maybe just perhaps an ICE SUV. Just like my Subaru, man, that car was thirsty. But this is modern, this is 2025, and this is exactly the kind of SUV people that want to travel will need. It's comfortable, oh my god. Yeah, that's the other thing. I really like the ride and handling of this car now. I mean, I honestly, I did not give the Tiggo 7, the ICE version, much respect, but this one, wow, quite a complete SUV. I really like it. There you have it. We've arrived at Bamboo Hills and we made it 1,200 kilometers plus on a single tank in the Chery Tiggo 7 PHEV. What a feat. That is quite impressive. I guess, yeah, I mean, if you don't do a fuel challenge like that, what this car is basically trying to tell you is that you will have to fill up less if you have this car. Okay, so you don't have to do this kind of fuel challenge, but I think the point is made here. What a feat, what a car.